Further ado, let's get this going. It's going to be Losira versus True, Game 1.
Game 1, Set 1 for Group B of the IM versus IM Clash of the Houses tournament on IC Cup Test Bug.
That's right, let's get it on. The game is beginning. There we have I'm Losira spawning as our red Zerg player down at the bottom position on IC Cup Test Bug. His opponent over at the 3 o'clock position is going to be I'm True, also spawning a Zerg, so we have another ZVZ series. But, you know, ZVZ can be pretty varied. There's a lot of different different avenues, I guess you could say, that the players could go along. We saw Junwei last match playing very, very standard sort of. I guess it's too early in StarCraft 2 really to call something classic or old school, but playing very sort of early StarCraft 2 Zerg versus Zerg, where you go hatch first and all that, don't scout. But we did see Horror kind of take advantage of that too, at least in Game 2. So I'm kind of curious to see what each player decides to do. Losira deciding to go for what appears to be an extractor trick, and I'm True deciding to go for a very early pool, a 9 pool for I'm True. So if he finds his opponent pretty early, this could do some damage to Losira. We're going to have to see how he responds. Losira, of course, a very, very solid Zerg player. He did win Code A last season, and I think he'll go pretty deep in Code S. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah, he's been making a lot of waves. He actually beat StarTale July in the first team league. This is the first time I really heard about him, although he was doing quite well in Code A at that point, and has since done even better, moving up into Code S.
Yeah, we used to joke that they had to pat Losira down before he came in the studio to try to find all the extra drones he was trying to sneak into the studio, because, man, this kid has pretty good mechanics. In fact, when I say pretty good, I mean he's got probably some of the best Zerg mechanics in the game right now. This guy somehow manages to produce more drones, get a better economy than nearly any other Zerg out there right now. Deciding to go hatch first. Okay, so yeah, Losira kind of counting on that economy, counting on his possible drone micro, and I'm not sure how good that's going to work against a 9 pool though. And here's kind of the disadvantage of a lot of Zergs doing that hatch first without scouting. We saw Nest-T get burned by it, by Damaga in the GSTL, the GSL World Championship Team League. Here come the Zerglings right now, though. Losira really doesn't have a whole lot to defend. In fact, his spawning pool isn't even halfway done. This is going to be terrible for Losira.
Yeah, and these Zerglings are going directly into the main base of Losira. He's going to be able to take out a few of the drones here before the spawning pool does get up. However, if you can get the hatch... Oh, no, he cancels the hatchery because he knows he cannot defend it. This is going to be a lot like Game 2 of Horror versus Junwei from last series.
Except much better for the 9 pooling Zerg this time around, because the spawning pool isn't even done yet, just finally now about finishing. Here comes more Zerglings. The drones, of course, not doing very well. Oh, great surround by Losira. Beautiful, beautiful tactic. You can use the drones to kind of pass through the Zerglings by clicking on the mineral patch, then hit E, they spread out, and you get the surround. Beautiful move by Losira. It may not be enough to win him the game, but it just shows you just how good of a Zerg player he is.
Yeah, and that was a beautiful micro move. However, he is going to be 7 drones versus 17.
A little bit too late.
So even if he does defend against us, he is going to be quite behind in the economy. That's the great thing about doing something which would have been an all-in cheese build in StarCraft 1. Doing it, the equivalent of it in StarCraft 2, you can actually transition out of it. As long as you do a little bit of damage, you can move into some sort of other build that is more economical, is something that moves into a longer game. So you can see a 6-pool opening and then still have a 40-minute game.
Now Losira responding with some aggression himself, but obviously, whoa, looks like I'm True has tons of Zerglings to prepare for that. And he's going to be able to chase Losira right back to his base, so really rough start for Losira. He doesn't really have the income it takes to kind of get what he needs to defend this. Trying to get a Baneling nest, but just by the time that gets out, it's just, I don't know, I just can't see Losira winning this game, unfortunately. 12 more Zerglings being produced by I'm True right now. He's just going to basically overrun Losira.
Yeah, and as soon as speed finishes, he is going to be able to micro these Zerglings quite well.
Might not even need to. I mean, it really, really shows the hole in the opening of going that hatch first without scouting. Very, very dangerous to do. Got to be pretty popular on the Korean server for a while, but now, of course, Zerg players have learned to kind of get around that. That 9 pool does very, very well against it.
Yeah, that is very true. And these speedlings are going to be running around, just making sure that Losira doesn't feel safe. Once these reinforcements come in, it is probably going to signal GG relatively quickly, unless they are going to be able to get taken out quite quickly, which I don't see happening.
Oh, huge bailing for Losira, taking out almost all those Zerglings. That just kept Losira in the game. Amazing. GG, though, anyway. Yeah, Losira was very, very behind, but wow.
That was a beautiful baneling right there.
Man.
But not quite enough.
Yeah.
So True takes game 1.
Yep. You know, in a best of 3 like that, too, you know, it's not like a longer match, but it is kind of a good idea just to sort of chalk a game up like that as a loss rather than play it out when you know you really don't have the chance to win.
Yeah, you don't really want to burn yourself out, especially when you're dealing with a long series like this. This is the first game that they're playing in an entire group play.
Exactly, yeah. So no need to use your energy up on a game like that. Losira playing very smart, deciding to take the loss, counting on his skill to get him back in game 2.
Which I am queuing up right now. Sorry for the delay, guys.
Well, you know, technology is a vehicle of esports. Sometimes you have to wait for replays to load.
Just the nature of the game. Get that as like a little button that I can press.
Sometimes you have to wait for the umpire to dust over the home base thing. So hey, it's not like there's not delays in other sports. Sometimes the football falls off the tee right before kickoff. You have to have that guy like run out there and set it off. Of course, the kicker needs to like squeeze it and make sure it's all right before he puts it back on the tee.
It's like measuring the distance between your keyboard and your monitor.
Yeah. Saw Flash do that the other day. Of course, Flash, excuse me, a very famous Brood War player. And he actually does it. He brings a ruler with him into the booth and measures the distance between like his keyboard and his monitor, make sure everything is exactly where it is when he practices to make sure that there's no deviation. A little bit obsessive, but very cool to see.
It is very important, actually, because these guys practice 12 to, well, in StarCraft 2 it's a little bit less because they don't have the Kesper restrictions like in StarCraft 1, but they practice a ridiculous amount, so if anything's slightly different, your muscle reflexes are going to be completely off. But
anyway,
the reflexes here for I Am True versus I Am Losira, Game 2 on Metalopolis.
Alright, here we go. It is I Am Losira spawning as our red Zerg player up at the 12 o'clock position on Metalopolis. And in close ground positions, just over yonder at the 9 o'clock position, it is I'm True spawning as our blue Zerg player. And yeah, going back to reflexes, you really, really need good reaction time playing a ZVZ. If it does become Baneling Wars, every Zergling counts. Every little click of the mouse can mean the difference between victory and defeat. And we'll have to see.
Yeah, and unfortunately, beautiful Banelings don't necessarily mean a GG right there. Last game, that last Baneling from Losira was amazing. He took out probably about 8 Zerglings, but he still knew that he was way behind.